Good morning to you and your new spring personality. You're listening to Honeywood Radio, broadcasting live from somewhere between a sunbeam on your kitchen floor and a sofa that's been completely overtaken by spring literature. And let me tell you, it's an interesting morning out there. Flowers have appeared overnight, possibly due to some enchantment. No one's confirmed, but I'm choosing to believe it. Now, we are receiving a few reports, again unconfirmed, of fairies being spotted out in flower meadows.
But you won't have your man while he's busy loving every woman.
What we do know is this: people are reappearing. Readers returning to park benches, cozy windowsills, or anywhere they can be seen reading again. Now, we know spring doesn't tend to linger for too long, so consider this your sign to make the most of it. Buy the flowers, rearrange the room, start the book, make an afternoon of it. And we'll be right here, enjoying it with you. Until next time, remember to notice the light. Welcome to spring, everyone.
My man and me. Ooh, your heart, yours and be true.
Did you notice? You survived winter. We survived winter. And as a reward, we have been granted spring. And I think we ought to do something absolutely lovely with it. What do you say? I have prepared for us a starter pack of sorts. If you want your life to feel like stepping into the springtime portion of You've Got Mail, letting your spirit live in a perpetually sunny fairy garden. Oh, could you imagine? That's what we're gonna create up here, because we can control that. We can't control life, but we can control how we feel and what goes on up here. And to create this fairy garden springtime home in our mind, we need a little bit of a curriculum, and we're gonna use books, films, rituals, hobbies, and little luxuries that feel like something a heroine of a pastoral countryside novel would do after staring out her window for a while. We want to be staring out of windows, not staring at our phones. These are all things that I've personally been keeping nearby lately in the interest of optimal spring living and whimsy. You're gonna hear it. Take a shot, not a shot. Drink some tea every time I say whimsy, and you might just finish 2 or 3 cups before we get to the end. This first one is a snail mail subscription. I think the art of letter writing and receiving something in the mail that isn't just bills, get ready to take a sip of tea, is so whimsical. There's a lot of snail mail subscriptions to choose from, but I specifically chose the Literary Loft. This is a reader's snail mail club. Every month in the mail, you receive a letter with the author sharing what book she's been reading recently, some recommendations, and then every month you can expect to get an art print and then a sticker set and a bookmark. You might see that snail mail is a bit of a theme here, because next we have what I think I would have created if I had this idea. This is amazing. It's from the Romanticize Collective, and it's a box that you get every single month with 1 letter and 1 object for each week of that month. The packaging is so elegant, very light academia. It's amazing. They've thought of everything. Week 1, the theme of your activity is to make Nona proud. And you get this tool to make cavatelli by hand, and they'll tell you how to create a whole experience. They say, let's begin your little adventure by wandering to your local market and let your senses guide you. Flour and water are all you need for the dough, but your heart gets to choose the sauce. And then they'll tell you to light a candle, how to set the mood, and on the back of this one is a QR code, and you can choose your playlist. This could have just been a box where you open a new item every week, but I love that they've curated an experience. Le Petit 3, this newspaper subscription service, has changed my life. This newspaper spoke to me. Like, I feel so like myself after reading this. I had this realization that I've been spending so much time on things that don't align with my soul, reading books or watching shows just for the sake of watching them because I saw so many other people talking about it. I don't want to spend my life wasting my soul on stuff that isn't made for it. This is a newspaper for the romantic souls, for the artists, the musicians, the poets. You always get an introduction to the month on the first page. The table of contents here, we have art history, philosophy, food and beverage, in conversation, recommendations. There's usually always film and book recommendations. And then there's an advice column. And then on the back, there's usually a crossword puzzle. For example, one across in this issue is an ancient name for chocolate, which is something I would have learned in an article article in the newspaper. I cannot recommend it enough. Next, plates that make you feel like you are having lunch with Miss Honey. Do you know what I mean? Cute, quirky, adorable plates. I'm always on the hunt for cute plates at the thrift store. I love this one. I feel like this plate enjoys having dessert placed atop her. These ones are hand painted, it says in Windermere, England. They make me excited to eat a meal. And if anybody knows how to fix a broken plate that's just broken straight in half, please let me know. Okay. I broke a plate. It was hand painted. No, I'm sad. Is there any way we can fix it? These are my favorite plates now, and I'm so sad I just broke it. And then decanter everything. For example, these little cotton rounds just live in a bag usually, but now they live in this vessel on top of my sink. What inspired this was a picture I saw on Pinterest. I went to my local antique store and I found almost everything that I needed. And now my bathroom just feels so luxurious every time I walk in. Sprinkles are whimsy, okay? They go hand in hand together. And especially flower sprinkles, which you can make yourself. I made mine. We have a local shop here that sells dried flowers, so I just made my own little flower mix. And then a lot of you asked what I was spraying in my matcha in my last video, and it was this fairy dust. It's like edible glitter that you can spray on top of teas. If it was my birthday or if I was celebrating myself, I think I would add a few touches to it, and I think we should be celebrating ourselves every single day. I'm not gonna save my sprinkles for one day a year. Have you ever tried candied violets? I brought these back from Vienna from Café Demel. They're handmade and they were supposedly Empress Sisi's favorite candy. They would get hand delivered to the palace from this cafe. And you know what? They're actually the best thing I've ever tasted when it comes to a candy. Imagine reading a little book with your tea and you have some candied violets on the side. Come on. You can order them from this exact cafe. I'll link it down below. Another thing that I highly recommend adding to your spring, and this one is, I admit, slightly less charming than candied violets, having a doctor that you actually like. Now hear me out. If we're going to be having this romantically whimsical spring, then we as the heroines need to be functioning properly. I mean, think about it. How are we supposed to go on our gloriously peaceful Elizabeth Bennet walks if in the back of our minds there's this small but glaring alarm / reminder / notification constantly going off telling you that there's a doctor that you've been meaning to find but you keep conveniently forgetting about? Which brings me to today's very helpful video sponsor, ZocDoc. Finding a new primary care doctor had been on my I'll deal with this later, I don't have time for this now list for a very, very, very long time. You guys know I already have my functional medicine doctor and I love him, he's wonderful, but we still needed someone for routine checkups, everyday stuff. And the craziest part is that when we finally sat down to do it using ZocDoc, the whole process genuinely took us about 5 minutes. Literally months of procrastination for a task that took me the amount of time that it takes me to feed my cats. If you're not familiar with it, ZocDoc is a free website that makes finding a doctor far less of a chore. You can search for doctors specifically in your area, filter by your insurance, this part was specifically helpful for us, and read real reviews from other patients. I really love that you can do the whole process online. You can see exactly what time appointments are available as you sit on your sofa with tea in hand and book something that works for your schedule. There are hundreds of specialties to choose from, so whether you're looking for something along the lines of a routine checkup or something more specific like dermatology, it's all there in one place. Appointments can get booked super quick, usually within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can often find same-day appointments available as well. So if finding a doctor you actually like has been on your to-do list for far too long as well, this might be the perfect time to check it off your list. You can go to ZocDoc.com/darlingdesi to find and book a top-rated doctor near you. It's completely free to use and I'll have the link in the description. Next, dress your books for springtime. How whimsical, especially if maybe they don't have the cutest dust jacket, give them a new one. I just think fabric book covers are so pretty. Imagine my goal is to have an entire bookshelf of fabric book covers, and I don't have the titles embroidered into these two, but I really want to do that. And you don't have to have a sewing machine. I did this one by hand last year. This one, I just used my sewing machine. It took me maybe 5 minutes. You can also curate your own spring mug collection. This is something you probably already do, but I really think about my mugs having different personalities and different purposes. I have this Bramley Hedge spring teacup, and I use her to drink tea while I read. Like, this is my spring reading teacup. You guys saw this one in my most recent video. She is big, and she is perfect for when I need a big icy matcha. Also perfect for if I just need a boost of serotonin, because like, how can you not be happy when holding this mug? This Lenox Village mug is what I use every month when I'm on my period and I am drinking my raspberry leaf tea. That is this mug's one job. Just feels very comforting, and I like the way it feels when I hold it. And then this is another one of my favorites. She is used when I'm having a bad day, because I know picking up this mug always makes me feel better. And I think it's nice to have a bad day mug, something that you know that will always cheer you up. Not always though, I do still use her occasionally. So if you've ever seen me film and I'm holding her, it probably wasn't a bad day. I just thought she's very pretty and deserves a little time in the spotlight. And I personally have a tradition of getting one new spring mug every year, and this is the one I got this year. It's from the Anthropology collab with the Mud Fairy. Every time I get a new mug, I try to introduce them to daily life, get them acquainted with everybody. So I use her pretty much every day for everything. Water, tea. She goes with me on walks sometimes too. And we've become very well acquainted. I love her.
Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here.
I don't know about you, but spring books feel like some sort of portal into a magical world, because really that is what they are. If you live somewhere where you're not surrounded by a cottage garden, you can go there through books. So these are some of my favorite spring stories that will transport you to a fairy garden, or just remind you to stay soft and gentle in a crazy world.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, I say it's alright.
Now for me, I love a good springtime cozy mystery. There's nothing like solving a murder in the English countryside with birdsong, copious amounts of tea, and detectives that dress like Sherlock Holmes. So if that sounds good to you, I recommend A Treacherous Tale by Elizabeth Penny. You know I have to start by commenting on how breathtakingly gorgeous this cover is. This is springtime in a book cover. And the best thing about this one, it's 2 stories in one. The mystery part of the story is set in the countryside just outside of Cambridge. It's so atmospheric. I felt like I was taking an afternoon bike ride to go eat lunch by the river with the 2 main characters. But the fairy tale aspect of the story, of course, includes a princess who needs rescuing, fairies, and a talking fox. Molly is a bookshop owner in Cambridge, and nearby is the cottage of a beloved children's book author. And this is where she finds her and her family entangled in this murder mystery. There's also a bit of a subplot that involves a bit of archaeology and a treasure hunt. The mystery is good, but I honestly love this so much just for the setting in the countryside around Cambridge and how beautiful and atmospheric it was. This one I haven't finished. I'm only maybe 6 or 7 chapters in, but I'm just gonna throw this in here because the vibes have been incredible so far. It's The Potting Shed Murder by Paula Sutton. We see a family move from London into the countryside and kind of how they're adjusting to life. And I found that writing specifically just so transportive. Is that the word I'm looking for? Seeing this family move into the countryside and get all settled in and meet their neighbors. A murder does happen, yes, but I've just been loving this setting so much. So if you wish you could go live in a cottage in England, I would pick this one up just to transport yourself there. Oh my gosh. Have you guys read Sophie Kinsella books? If you have not, I am so pleased to introduce you to her. Sophie Kinsella is the OG rom-com author. For me, nobody does a rom-com like Sophie Kinsella. 2 of my favorites are My Not So Perfect Life and The Undomestic Goddess. In this one, we see Katie have this quarter-life crisis. She leaves London. She goes to the countryside to help her parents set up a glamping business. And seeing her kind of re-fall in love with the countryside life and the slower pace of things, 5 stars. I loved this so much. The Undomestic Goddess is similar. Samantha Sweeting is an insanely talented, highly paid lawyer in London, but she ends up making a mistake and getting fired. And while she is spiraling to rock bottom, she just gets on a train, gets off, just walks herself down to this house I think she asks for a glass of water or something, but they mistake her for a woman who is interviewing for a maid position. And she's just like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. I'm a maid. It's so fun and charming because she has no idea how to be a maid. She doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know how to iron. And she learns all these things with the help of the gardener and the gardener's mother, who is so good at like everything she does. And slowly Samantha falls into this life that she never would have expected for herself. I read it at the beginning of January, and I feel like it's such a good one for a new beginning. The setting in the countryside at this manor house is beautiful. You can like feel the sun on your skin when you read it. It's so good. Oh, do you like chaotic English families, British humor, books that are written in diary entries? Or how do sisters that are named after flowers sound? Do you like the charm of I Capture the Castle or Emma M. Lyon? If so, I prescribe you A Calamity of Mannerings by Joanna Nadine. This is like if Bridget Jones kept a diary in the style of Cassandra from I Capture the Castle or Emma M. Lyon. It's a wonderfully charming and quirky coming-of-age story set in 1920s England. It's genuinely so witty and ridiculous and hilarious. I was laughing out loud from chapter 1, and I will say I haven't finished it fully yet, but I am at least halfway through it. It follows the Mannering family along with their menagerie of pets, one of which is a goat named Siegfried, who lives inside with the family more than he does outside, as they find themselves on the brink of misfortune as their father recently passed away. The story opens with 3 sisters, all named after flowers, and a dilemma that will determine their future. I think the diary format has been missing from books recently. I find that it brings so much personality and humor to the story, and we need to bring it back. This is so good. This book feels like the most Barbie-esque, whimsical fairy tale. Let me introduce you to one of my favorite reads of the year, The Swan's Daughter by Roshni Chokshi. Sentient castles, daydream trees, and a curse where if you choose the wrong person to marry and it's not for completely true love, you'll turn into a tree. Library wyverns that disguise themselves as rabbits, an evil sorcerer, and truth-telling swans. Oh my gosh. This was a book for my soul. In this world, the royal family, or in this circumstance, Prince Eris, must marry for love because of a curse, and if they don't, they will be turned into a tree. Thus, they'd be leaving the throne to whoever married them, creating quite a dilemma here for the royal family. Lots of people willing to kill for becoming the throne. So we find ourselves following the story of Demelza, the youngest daughter of a terrifying sorcerer, and also she just happens to be a swan. But she's a bit of an ugly duckling because unlike her 6 sisters, she has no wings and no beautiful swan song. Her father has sent out all of her sisters to neighboring kingdoms to fall in love with or seduce heirs so that they can take over and gain power. But he can't use Demelza for that. He's decided to make use of her by cutting out her heart to use it for a spell that will grant him eternal life. Once Demelza hears of this plan, she flees her family home. This leads her to the castle, where Prince Eris is hosting what is essentially a magical tournament of brides. This includes vying princesses-to-be to compete in these like glittering public trials, attend balls. Some of these girls are there for love, but most of them are there to gain power. And Prince Eris has no way of knowing who's there for the right reasons. So enter Demelza. Instead of competing in this competition, she strikes a deal with the prince. She will use her rare ability to make those around her speak the truth, and only the truth, to help him figure out which future brides are genuine and pure in heart, and which ones are plotting murder. And in return, she gets the one thing she desperately needs: a safe place to hide from her father. What unfolds is this wonderfully whimsical, slightly absurd fairy tale, and a prince and a girl who slowly start to fall into one another, while also trying to outwit curses and killers. If you grew up watching Barbie movies and you are longing for a whimsical fairy tale, that is this book. I really don't think I've ever read anything this whimsical before. Now, what is spring without Winnie the Pooh? Oh, to spend a day in the 100-acre woods. I think what makes this story so special is its gentleness. Sometimes you guys have asked me, how do you stay soft or gentle in such a hard and cruel world? And for me, I just try to surround myself with as much softness as I can. And if you're looking to do the same, I would pick up Winnie the Pooh. You know, there's actually an audiobook version narrated partially by Stephen Fry and a few other extremely talented voice actors. The quote on the back, "A little consideration, a little thought for others makes all the difference." Oh, I love this so much. Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore wander into the 100-acre woods and get themselves into these mild predicaments, and they slowly figure things out together. It's just so, and I actually think this type of story is more meaningful as an adult. Not that it's not for kids. It's such a beautiful children's story, but I really think there's so much meaning to it. Rereading it as an adult, I think we could use more of this in our adult lives. Now, this is the one story that is not set during springtime, but to me, it feels like spring in the themes and the overall story. So this year, I have to recommend to you The Story She Left Behind by Patty Callahan Henry. This is inspired by a real literary mystery. The story has two timelines, one in 1927 and the other in 1952. Clara is the daughter of a very well-known children's book author who actually wrote her first book and published it when she was 8, or I think she wrote it when she was 8 and published it when she was 12. Think like Tolkien. She made up her own language in these books, and she wrote a sequel, but nobody can translate it because the dictionary that she wrote for her language can't be found anywhere. Clara thinks that it went out with her mother to sea because the book starts with her mother taking herself out into a boat, and we don't know what happens to her. We assume that she's gone. But one day, Clara gets a call from Charlie, who lives in England. He was going through his father's library and found a bag. And he calls up Clara and he's like, "Hey, I have your mother's dictionary and a note from her that says you have to come get it in person." And she just thinks it's a scam. She's dealt with this for years and she's like, "You know what? Thanks, haha, but I don't believe you." But then he describes the exact leather bag that this dictionary was in, and Clara has a picture of her mom with that exact leather bag. So she takes a boat over to London, brings her 8-year-old daughter with her. But this is the year when London experienced the Great Smog, and her daughter has asthma, so they have to get out of London. They flee up to the Lake District, where the rest of the book is set, and it is, oh my gosh, so incredibly breathtaking. That's why I recommend this for springtime. If you've ever wanted to visit the lakes, like Taylor Swift talks about, like William Wordsworth talked about, like Rick Steves talked about. Did anyone else grow up watching Rick Steves? Is that only me? I love his show. Anyway, this is so beautiful. Pick this up if you like a good story that is fast-paced, that has some mystery. Oh, and the romantic subplot. I haven't even touched on that yet. It's so good. The yearning. I put the book down and clapped my hands at one point because this man, I could gush about it. I could gush about it all day. So I will stop. Also, the narration for the audiobook for this is excellent. I've been watching spring films back to back to back as I prepared for this video, and I can't tell you how much it has made me feel so much more like life is romantical, like I feel happier, starting so strong, a whimsical princess story that we as a society do not talk about enough, and that is the iconic Ella Enchanted. Here are my reasons as to why Ella Enchanted is a masterpiece, in hopes to beg you, to convince you to watch it if you haven't, or rewatch it if it's been a while. I mean, Hugh Dancy singing Elton John in leather pants and dancing. I rest my case. It is the perfect rom-com, like medieval Y2K revival mashup. The flirting, the banter, this sense of adventure. It's so good. In short, Ella, when she was born, there was a fairy who gave her a gift, and she got the gift of obedience, which is not a great gift. She has two mothers. One of them is a fairy, and growing up, this has been an issue for her because whenever somebody commands her or tells her to do something, she has to do it. But when she meets Prince Char, he doesn't know this about her, and he runs into her because Ella goes on a quest to find the fairy who gave her this gift and ask her to take it back or to change it. You don't need to know too much about what it's about, just go watch it. If there has ever been a film that's made me want to move into a tiny cottage in the English countryside and spend my afternoons painting, it's Miss Potter. This is one of my favorite spring comfort films. This film tells the story of Beatrix Potter, who is the beloved author of The Tales of Peter Rabbit, and it follows Beatrix Potter's journey from being a young artist in Victorian London, sketching animals, to becoming one of the most famous children's authors in the world. Along the way, she meets this man who becomes her publisher, played by Ian McGregor, who quickly becomes her love interest, and he sings in the film. If that doesn't convince you, I mean, he is so charming.
Let me teach you how to dance. Let me lead you to the floor. Simply place your hand in mine and then think of nothing more.
The entire film is basically a soft cottagecore dream. What I personally love most, though, is that there are these little moments throughout the film when Beatrix Potter's sketches or paintings pop up off the paper and onto the screen. It's such a little whimsical touch that makes you feel like you've truly stepped into one of her storybooks. Next, we have a film that I think is perfect as a transitional film from winter to spring. Perfect to watch as everything outside is starting to grow and blossom again. And that is A Little Chaos, which is actually quite ironic because there's not much chaos in this film. We follow Kate Winslet's character, and this is in the early days of Versailles, before Marie Antoinette gets there, when the gardens are being designed. And Kate Winslet's character is a very talented but a bit unconventional in this time period, and she's invited to the palace to help bring the king's vision of these grand gardens to life. And a lot of these men at the time are so confused as to why he would bring on a woman, let alone a woman who has a bit of an unconventional style. So we see her get to prove all these men wrong. And at the same time, while she's dealing with all of these men and working on these gardens, she's navigating these rigid expectations of court life. But at the same time, she develops this so sweet partnership with the royal landscape architect who is overseeing the project. We get yearning because most of their communication is done through stolen glances. I also loved getting to see Alan Rickman and Kate Winslet again together. Alan Rickman actually directed the film. It's just such a beautiful film, especially perfect if you are yearning to get outside and garden, but you aren't able to do that. You can live that through this film. I feel like we always talk about Pride and Prejudice and Emma as being the perfect Jane Austen films for springtime, but I argue that Sense and Sensibility may actually feel the most perfect and in line with springtime. There's something about Sense and Sensibility. It is set, I think, mostly during spring and summer. There's frolicking, picnics, bonnets galore, springtime celebrations, lots of afternoon walks, and the cast. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. Alan Rickman as Colonel Brandon, just the most perfect casting decision ever. And then there's Emma Thompson, Kate Winslet, Hugh Grant. Hear me out. Colonel Brandon, he actually has a lot of the same qualities as Darcy. He so wants to protect Marianne's innocent, but doesn't ever belittle her or look down on her. Feels very much like I would burn down the world for you, but I'll go off and do it without you knowing because I don't want you worrying about me.
Shall we continue tomorrow?
No, for I must away.
Away? Where?
That I cannot tell you. It is a secret.
You will not stay away long.
He just wants to protect her and have her live in this beautiful bubble.
Your sister seems very happy.
Yes,
She is wholly unspoiled.
rather too unspoilt in my view. The sooner she becomes acquainted with the ways of the world, the better.
I knew a lady very like your sister, the same impulsive sweetness of temper, who was forced into, as you put it, a better acquaintance with the world. The result was only ruination and despair. Do not desire it, Miss Dashwood.
Oh, he's the man that he is. You know what film has my heart and is such an underrated rom-com? Austen Land. I am the target demographic for this film. Like, this is something I would have gotten myself into. Jane Hayes, who is this hopeless romantic Jane Austen superfan, makes this decision to leave modern dating behind, and she spends her life savings to live out her Pride and Prejudice dreams at this Regency countryside resort called Austen Land, which is this fully immersive Regency experience where guests get to live out these scripted love stories. All the men speak as they would in Regency period times. They dress like men would, and these women get to find their own Mr. Darcy. But it's all scripted, so it's all fake, but it feels real. It's silly and ridiculous, but ultimately so fun and optimistic. I love it.
Now, anyone with a gun like that can ride a horse. Come on.
You have to.
I've got you fine.
Every second of this film is just Jane Austen Spring perfection. Now, if you're more of an early 2000s rom-com girl, have you watched Fever Pitch with Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon? It follows a romance between Jimmy Fallon's character, who is this diehard Red Sox fan, and Drew Barrymore's character, who works in math and numbers, and she's very career driven. She is chasing a promotion. And because this movie takes place primarily during baseball season, it has this perfectly cozy, sunshine-filled spring summer energy. There's spring training, the baseball games. It's also possibly the best sick day movie. I know a lot of us sometimes catch colds between the end of winter and going into spring. Their first date, Jimmy Fallon's character knocks on the door, and he can just hear Drew Barrymore's character dying on the inside.
I'm sick. Come back. I'll call you tomorrow.
Wait. What kind of sick? You okay? What kind? You in pain? Come on. Sit right here. Pick your head up. Okay. Do you have any pajamas or a nightgown?
I'm sorry about this.
Don't worry. Come on. Come on. I'm gonna help you change, all right? I won't look. I promise. Okay, I looked. Let's get this on. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's nothing left to throw up. I promise. And if you do, there's Mr. Hamper. Okay.
It's just one of the sweetest scenes because instead of being scared off, he stays there to help her. He gives her Gatorade with a straw. He brings her some movies to watch. He cleans her bathroom. It's so early 2000s cutie rom-com coded. This one is set during the 1960s, and that is flipped. It follows Julie and Bryce, who first meet in the second grade, and Julie falls head over heels. Mind you, she's in second grade. He's of the mindset, girls have cooties. Get away from me, I'm not interested. Later on, when they're teenagers, Julie could not be less interested in him, and he starts to fall for her. And throughout the film, we get her perspective, and then his, and then back to hers, and then back to his. They alternate, and it tells the story beautifully. There's also a main character who is a tree. Julie has this really beautiful relationship with this sycamore tree that the community in the neighborhood is planning to cut down, which kind of symbolizes her entering into more of her teenage years and leaving her childhood behind, and what that means for that to end. The scenes are sunshine filled. It's a really gorgeous film to watch, and ultimately it's just such a delightful coming of age film about first love and the frustrations and tensions that can come along with that, but also finding their way back to each other. Now, I don't have any new TV show recommendations for you this year, but if you're new here and would like some spring show recommendations, I will link all my videos with those down below. There are so many good ones like The Buccaneers, The Artful Dodger, All Creatures Great and Small, Sanditon. I could go on, but so like I said, those will be down below for your perusal. Well, now we have prepared our spring reading lists, movie nights. We've got trinkets and spring things to surround ourselves with. I think it's only right that we now discuss spring hobbies, activities, lifestyle choices that we can make to max out the level of whimsy that we're bringing in this spring. This first one I have taken from foremost mentioned Le Petit 3. On the cover, the author ended one of her paragraphs suggesting that we should write a love poem to something unsuspecting, like a peony, an apple, or an afternoon, which I think may just be the most whimsical thing we do this spring. I think I will be writing mine to a honeybee. My new favorite thing is to add a doily to my matcha. I just bring one in my bag, and then I have this little pair of scissors, and you just fold it and then cut, and you have a perfect circle, and it fits seamlessly on my matcha cup. Next, don't use things for their intended purposes. For example, I have been loving sumo oranges this season, and I always put my orange in a teacup. Or you could use a water carafe as a vase for fresh cut flowers. You could also use a teapot for the same thing. Take up an old-fashioned skill that you feel to be utterly delightful. And if possible, muster up the courage and attend an in-person class. I have a class that I'm registered for later this month. It's a needlepoint class at my local needlepoint store, and I'm so excited to learn and dive into this world. Ooh, also chaos gardening. Have you heard of chaos gardening? If not, basically, choose a spot in your garden and sprinkle flower seeds everywhere and allow this part of the garden to determine what it will become. Doesn't that sounds so nice? The garden just gets to choose, and I love that so much. Choose an aesthetic for the month that speaks to you, that is new to you or interesting, and dive headfirst into this. I find this also a great way, if you have a bit of a phone addiction too, to get you off your phone, or at least have your phone time be intentional because you're researching this aesthetic. Right now, mine is Edwardian pastoral, which is why I just watched A Month in the Country last night. It's part of my little curriculum that I've made for myself. So Edwardian pastoral is, think movies like The Secret Garden, A Room with a View, and Picnic at Hanging Rock, which is a little bit more Edwardian Gothic, but still kind of has those pastoral vibes. And books like Cider with Rosie, Lark Rise to Candleford, The Diary of a Provincial Lady, and anything by Beatrix Potter. She is like the face of Edwardian pastoral. And if you're like, I don't know where to even look, like what is an aesthetic I can get interested in? I just use Pinterest and Instagram posts. You could type in, for example, aesthetics similar to cottagecore or spring bookish and film aesthetics, and I promise you can find some good stuff. Okay, this is so niche and specific, but I had this image in my head of eating a strawberry while standing in the sunshine, like a Victorian woman recovering from an illness. The vibe, the kind of melancholy, but also you're like soaking up the sun because you're recovering from a mysterious illness. Now, this one may seem a little bit silly or simple, but if you spend a lot of time at home, wait for the morning post. But we're romanticizing it. So make a cup of tea, stand on your porch or by your front window and look longingly out the window like you're waiting for the post, because you are. And this is great for a few reasons. One, it gives your brain time to de-stimulate. So much of our day is spent with stimulation constantly coming at us. It's like a deep breath for your brain and your nervous system to just do nothing, but you're doing it intentionally. And then if or when the mail carrier does appear, greet them like a character in a countryside novel. You could even bake them something, or if they're not okay with that, you could buy something pre-made and offer it to them, or even offer them a cup of tea, depending on where you live and what your relationship is like with your mail carrier. Okay, next, breakfast with Meg Ryan. And by that, what I mean is stay in your pajamas. It's a Saturday morning, you're making banana pancakes or blueberry pancakes, blueberry lemon. Ooh, that'd be nice for springtime. And then you must eat while you sit on the counter or somewhere unconventional and watch a rom-com while spring sunlight floods the kitchen. If not, maybe stand outside for a little bit, get that sunshine, because most mornings are meant to be productive, right? But I think some mornings call for breakfast with Meg Ryan. And I don't mean Meg Ryan necessarily literally like you have to watch one of her films, but more so she is the mascot of this ritual. If you're interested, I've come up with a little schedule. If you do this once every weekend for the month of April, you could do week 1, You've Got Mail. This is such a good fall film, but also a good spring film. You can kind of divide it equally. It has them both. But the spring parts are so good. I love it for springtime too. Week 2, you do 13 going on 30. This still gives that Meg Ryan warm, fun, energetic energy. Week 3 is Notting Hill. Julia Roberts, Hugh Grant, London, England in the springtime. And then week 4 is Kate and Leopold. So we've gone back to another Meg Ryan film. It's so quirky and sweet and cute. Very wholesome, very perfect for springtime. All right, I think that is just about everything. Here's to going outside more often and doing small, lovely romantic things for no reason at all. How's that smell? Do you like smelling the flowers? You want to say hi? You're starting to purr. Just know you're doing spring correctly, however you choose to do it. And my hope for you is that this spring will bring you many golden afternoons full of reading, kitty cuddles, or doggy cuddles. And if you have any recommendations for me of films or books or ways that you do something extremely whimsically and you need me to know about it, please tell me. You've got this. I love you so much. I really do. And I will see you soon in another video. I hope you take care of yourself. See you soon.